Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Combustion RC. I know what you're thinking. Jordan, you got a hoodie on. Is it finally fall? Sort of. Ragweed here in Oklahoma has hit a 8-year high. That's fun, and that usually is a sign of fall. However, it's still in the 90s out there. I just thought you might want to look at something that's not a black t-shirt. Anyway, we got something new. I think you're going to like this project, and it is a project. It's not just a ready-to-run review, and which is why I chose this mug today. Education is important, but RC racing is importanter. This one is going to be RC racing that's educational, so I guess you could say it's importantest. Sure. Here's the new project, the XRAY XB2d 25 Dirt Edition. That is what the D stands for. There's the XB2 and the XB2d. The D is for dirt. This is the 2025. I have not built an X-ray kit in nearly 10 years, so I'm kind of excited about this. You see they're made in Europe. These are made in the Czech Republic. X-ray used to be, I don't know if it still is, like I said, it's the first kit in 10 years. Used to be one of the best manufactured and made parts buggy kits of any form, on-road or off-road, that you could get ever. So I'm really excited to see how this goes. I thought about doing the B7, but I've done a lot of Associated on this channel, and I was looking forward to doing something different. And then I saw this guy right here. And well, I think it's going to be fun. Of course, you know, Mr. Monochromatic me, I really enjoy the box art being monochromatic. That makes me very happy. So as you can see there, there's the XB2d, and I got a manual up for you guys. So we will get into this as well. Let's go ahead and get this box open. Ooh, monogram. Maybe Mr. Hoodie's wife is a fan of Coach, but that's a lot of X's. It's very much like a monogram. Just maybe a thought. Maybe Hermes, you know. You usually don't see monogram on RC stuff. World champions! Ooh, see? High performance luxury RC car. Now, before we even get going, there's a thing right here. I have to read you this because it's hysterical. This manual is photo page. Look at that. That's like a photo page. But this is very, wow. This is photo pages. Dude, no way. Okay, remember what I said on the Techno video about it being the best manual ever? I changed my mind. Look at that. There's actually color in there to separate all the parts. It's not just grayscale that's brighter or darker. Dude, that's so awesome. Okay, I'm really stoked about this now. Look at that. Show you all their fluids. Different ball studs, different fluids, all the tools you need with part numbers. Like, if you want to build this with all Hoodie tools, which, by the way, their arm reamers are awesome. I just need to get some. I used to have them and I don't anymore, but arm reamers are fantastic for making sure that those stay clean and free moving. But yeah, anyway, this is hilarious. I have to read you this because I've never seen this on any kit. You know, most of the kits you see is say 14 years and older kind of thing. Not with X-Ray, 16. But not just 16 and knowing what you're doing. Before you start, the very first phrase in this manual, before you start. This is the very first paragraph of this entire manual. I can't get over this. This is a high competition, high quality RC car intended for persons ages 16 years and older with previous experience building and operating RC model racing cars. This is not, all capital letters, a toy. It is a precision racing model. This model racing car is not intended for use by beginners, inexperienced customers, or by children without direct supervision of a responsible, knowledgeable adult. If you do not fulfill these requirements, please return the kit in unused and unassembled form back to the shop where you've purchased it. Well, darn. I guess I'm not building an XB2d 2025 edition. I know what you're thinking. Why do you say that? It says I have to be a knowledgeable adult. Oh, really? It says it right there. Knowledgeable, responsible, knowledgeable adult. Oh, well, don't necessarily know that I'm an adult. I'm not very knowledgeable, and I am definitely not responsible. All right, back to the shop. Let's look through the rest of this and see what we have here. We have a, ooh, what is this? Poster. Is it a poster? Oh, no. It is a poster with all of the part numbers and an exploded view of the entire kit. Not only does it have all the part numbers, it has all of the option part numbers on here. All the different thicknesses of shims, the different hubs you can get, all the different shock oils. There's like 500 part numbers on the back of this. All the different screws that they even offer. All the tools. Basically every X-Ray or Hoodie part number is on the back of this. That's what all this is. I need to find the wall for that. Maybe there. It's not on camera, but I just like the look of it. Okay, so I did just flick back to the manual real quick. There is several pages of notes in the back. There is the option parts that you can do different things with. This manual is super nice, guys. Like, I can't even describe how nice this manual is. It's literally photo paper, which is just unheard of. But here's the back page. See, their tools just look amazing. Their setup station, the Hoodie setup station, if you're like, man, I need a setup station, but I don't know if I want to spend $300 on a setup station, it's kind of worth it. We used to have one at the shop that I worked at, so I didn't have to buy it. The shop had it, and we used it for many different things. But it's probably one of the best setup stations on the planet because of the fact that it's so precise. But nobody ever said that the Hoodies do anything that's not perfection every time. So that's one thing they've never been accused of. Got our window masks for our body here, so we're going to put those over here so they don't get lost. Do get a nice large sheet of stickers. They are laser cut. I don't know if you can see that in the lighting, but they are laser cut, and they're not a bunch of funky colors, which is really nice because no matter what color scheme you go with, these will look good on your car. So the art of performance. I love that saying, actually. That is a really cool saying. Because honestly, when it comes to making these, if you don't know how to do CAD design, you're not going to be able to make an RC car. So it really is an art. That's super awesome. I like that. All right, so one thing I will say is we're going to be kind of rushing to try to get this done. I'm going to be reusing a motor and speed controller for this. I'm going to be using the Hobbywing 610R. I'm also going to be using the 6-turn that's currently in my modified in this particular buggy. So thought about using a 13.5, but I think I'm going to go ahead and straight to the 6-turn. The truck is going to be getting turned into a short course truck, and it's 17.5 Pro 2 short course class up in Duluth. And I'm going to get this done in time to race in Duluth at Chill on the Hill. By the time you're seeing this video, it's basically time for Chill on the Hill. That is going to be the first weekend of October, and I think this video is going to come out the first weekend of October, actually. So you'll be getting to build as I'm driving 850 miles to the tracks. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be fun. That's just 16 days away, so I am on a time crunch. So we're going to be doing a lot of wrenching is what we're going to be doing. Ooh, nice looking shock bodies. Real nice looking shock bodies. They're shorter than I expected them to be too, even for a buggy. Those are very short. I mean, there's my thumb next to one for reference. My thumb is not that long. If you've seen the DJI Mic Mini, you know that these are pretty small. Oh, check that out. Packaged by with a name. Adam Kova. Probably a lot of names very much like that. This one is also packaged by Adam Kova. This is our bearings bag. Sealed and oiled bearings, it specifically says. We've got a front wing and looks like maybe an ESC mount. Carbon fiber as well. So that's super nice to see. No way. We got wheelage. We got wheels. Now, granted, there's no tires, but that's okay because you see, you don't need tires because they don't know what dirt surface you're running on. Packed, not packed, indoor, outdoor. Do you need slicks? Do you need pins? Do you need big pins? Do you need mini pins? Do you need bars? They don't know that. So don't get mad that there's no tires in there because back in the day when they put tires in there, everybody's tires went in the trash can anyway because they were always hard and the wrong thing for what you needed. But sending wheels, this is awesome. This right here is cool. Nobody else I've seen gives you wheels. Everybody else is like, just go get your own. Here's some arms. Those are really open. Do these have inserts that you can put in them to change the stiffness? I wouldn't think so. Those are stiff anyway, but that parts packaging is nice in there. This one also has a name card in it, it looks like. It does. It's got a package by Boratova. This one's packaged by Sebenova. This is our slipper assembly. Nice thick slipper pads. Those are a nice thick one. Look at that. Very thick. Very, very nice. Yes, that says bag 2. This is bag 5, 6, 7. The front wing doesn't have a number on it, so I'm guessing it's just at the end. Oh wait, it says 07.1. Okay. This ragweed pollen could stop at any time now. So if I sound a little nasal, that's where it's from. Or if my face looks a little puffy. Ragweed and me don't get along at all. All right, here's bag 3. Lots of carbon fiber. Thick shock tower. Super thick shock tower. I'd say a good mil thicker than the associated one. Nice. This one's also packaged by Sebenova. Big aluminum piece in there. Not sure what that's for, but there's a lot about this that's going to be new to me, I think, because it looks like it's going to be very different from an AE kit. Nice springs. This is 6.1. So it's bag 6 was our shocks. Bag 6.1 is our springs. They even give you the good stuff for your body. Here's bag 1. It's a ball diff. Not sure if those are carbide diff balls, but they look like they are. Ooh, it is not a cage thrust bearing though. That sucks. We got 300 CST oil. We got diff grease. I'm going to use my Sticky Kicks stuff and graphite grease. Again, I'm going to use my Sticky Kicks greases, but they do give you some mini tubes of the greases. And 300 CST oil. It's pretty light, actually. Not sure what that is, to be honest. I think I'm going to go ahead and keep it at that because we're going to be racing outdoor in northern Minnesota on Lake Superior in October. And so I believe the highs are supposed to be in the high 50s, low 60s. Lows in the high 30s to mid 40s. That's what they're calling for right now. And that's Fahrenheit. It'll be, pushing just 10 degrees in the morning. It'll be like 10 degrees above snowing, basically. So I think we're going to stick with this lightweight shock fluid. Let's see. We've got chassis side rails, also packed by Boratova and Sebenova. That's super cool that they put the names in there. I actually like to see that. Yeah, I mean, yes, you could argue that it's just nylon composite, but this nylon composite looks very, very solid. It feels solid. I mean, it's heavy. It's heavy, heavy stuff. It's very cleanly machined. Everything that it's off a tree has been cut down, and it looks like even sanded a little bit to make everything smooth, and there's no burrs sticking out anywhere. Here's the body. Ooh, that is a sick looking body. I like that. Yeah, that's cool. Look at that nice vertical stabilization fin on there. Plus this major downforce right here. And this is awesome. This is gonna be cool. That's super awesome. It's gonna get my normal paint scheme, like you see on this guy here, with the pink faded to fluorescent yellow faded to white. That's kind of my normal go-to anymore. And last but not least, this is beautifully milled, guys. I don't know if this is coming through in the camera. I know you can see the milling lines there from where they routed out the recess spots. The sides aren't square. They actually rounded the sides, which is going to actually increase the support. And this is actually fairly light. I'm surprised at that. I don't know what this is. Whatever this aluminum is, it feels like titanium. Like it's that light. Even rings. That's it. So we're gonna go ahead and go back through, set the chassis aside. We're gonna go put our wings, body, and wheels back in the box because we know we don't need those. Bag 1, and then these little guys will go ahead and actually the bearing one I'll keep over here for now, and then I'll throw my shock fluid back in there. 4 back in, and 3 because if we get past bag 2, I'll be surprised today. Got the kids down for a nap, and then the car that's going with us on the trip is getting its oil change done today so that it's ready to rock. So we're gonna go ahead and get into this. I'm gonna tip you down so that you can see down here, but we're gonna be going through bag 1. Looks like We're going to need a 1.5, 2 Allen, 5.5 and 7 socket, body reamer, of course, shock pliers, turnbuckle wrench. They have those nice little ball-ended ones. You can get one of those. It's Hoodie number 181035. I'd recommend getting one of those. They got some nice tools. Maybe I should look into their tools more, just for like stuff like that. I like my Sticky Kicks tools though. Go ahead and stop the video here, tip it down, get lined up, and then we'll get going on our ball diff build. Real quick here, I did want to show you that they also show you how to do some tech tips here of protecting your carbon fiber from splitting. So since open shock towers, they show you stain the top of it and apply some CA glue, which is tire glue, to the top. They also show you pins, the pin push and pull tool, and then how to replace your drive pins on your CVs. So that's super cool to see. But we're going to be doing this guy right here. This is going to be our ball diff build. And where's that right there? Bag one. All right, and per usual, we have our normal build options here. We have our Sticky Kicks white lube, which is for your diff O-rings and your shock X-rings. We have the red grease here, which is for your pinion gears and axle gears, for like your ring and pinion gears, your axles, and then your drives. We have the normal old black grease here, which is good for your thrust bearings and axles. And so we have a thrust bearing here. And then we have our clear lube, which is for our diff balls itself. So these two we're going to need right away. These two we'll need later. You're also going to need your 7 and 5.5 drivers, like so. Also needing a 1.5 and a 2 hex driver. Now I am pulling this one out. This is my Aeromax 2 ball end, because just in case I need a ball end, sometimes those are good to have. Also going to need a set of shock pliers. Again, this one's from Sticky Kicks as well. Your hobby knife, and then side cutters and bent needle nose pliers. If you want to go ahead and spring the bucks for the hoodie stuff, also on the front page here, you can get all of those awesome tools. First, you need your hobby knife. Go ahead and start opening up. And even the plastic bags are nice. It's so weird. This is just a random piece of paper. All right. All right, so we've got our out drives here. These seem to be nice hardened out drives, so that's good. These look really nice. Nice and machined. Got our rings. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So these have 12. If you're used to the associated ones, the associates have 14. It says it's supposed to all be in bag one. Just out of curiosity. Well, wouldn't you know it? And unless it's in here, let's check this bag. Let's see. We know that this is our bearings bag. Not in there. So we're actually missing the washers, the thrust washers. Can't put that in without the. Oh, found them. Sabanova, you scared me. Sabanova right here scared me. Okay, there we go. So we're gonna go ahead and cut this one open. Yes, I know it's a Ziploc bag, but there's a reason I'm cutting it. It's because these little balls get stuck in the Ziploc, and so just makes it just a touch easier. These are not concave. Okay, so these are flat on both sides. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. So I just figured I'd look. Okay, we'll go ahead and set that up there. This is when you're gonna get your black grease. Go ahead and grab a piece of paper towel as well. Maybe grab a couple actually, just to be on the safe side. And then, come on, get out the big. All right, so now those can get stuck in the holes in the paper towel and not drift away. You know, we don't want them to get lost in the rock and roll and drift away. That was way too much. Perfect. So this is the way we used to always make them before you started using cage ceramic thrust bearings. You just set all these on there, right in that grease. If you're wondering, yes, This is exactly why my nails are black. When I was a mechanic, well, that and I'm an elder emo, but when I was a mechanic, my nails, I come home with my nails being black anyway from especially diesels. Anytime I had a diesel in my bay. I was a Volkswagen technician, so I worked on diesel and standard gasoline engines. Alright, so then you just make sure that they're all in there like so, and the grease will hold them in until we get them actually in the sleeve. So then we're going to grab this guy here and very carefully put it right up through the middle. And once it's pulled into place, those won't come out anywhere. Okay? So you just want to kind of let it hang out like that so that it doesn't come out. Back that into the syringe just a little bit so we can cap it. Wipe our fingers off. Then we're going to go on to the next page. All right, and on the next page, we've got these balls here, which are carbide balls. So it does not say tungsten carbide, it just says carbide. So these are carbide coated like the factory associated ones, I'm assuming. Easiest way to do these is to put some of your grease on here, which is going to be your black grease right in that groove. And actually, while this is open, do both of them. Just going to give it just a little bit and then smear it around, just like so. And put a diff ring on there and spin it around. That's nice and seated. This one you have to do without losing that thrust bolt in made washer or made bearing. Good thing is the grease will hold the ring on. So you can still set it back down. There we go. Now we're good there. Now, one thing that I usually do with my clear lube, I usually go ahead and put it around one side. Does it say which side's which? Are these identical? Yeah, sometimes they have them set to where you can't push them through one side and they set in the other side. It looks like this one might be kind of that way. Square shape orientation on top side, yeah. So if you see, you can see there, those are round on that side. And on this side, they look square. So square is going to face up on the dude here with the post. So then we're going to go ahead and just, I stick some on the back as well, but some of that clear goobly goop, just so that it's already through. And then a little bit on the front. If you're wondering why I'm not using the kit stuff and why I'm using a Sticky Kicks, even before I was sponsored by Sticky Kicks, I love this stuff. It lasts for a very long time. You can get almost an entire season out of this before it starts breaking down. So you can't beat that, really. All right. Let's set that on there and give it a little spinny spin. Drop our bearings down our center shaft. Maybe I should have done that the other way around, huh? Yeah, probably. Let's go ahead and drop that bearing down there. There we go. There. Nice. Now, we're going to take our little bag of balls here. And you're just gonna dump them in. Oop, I had one jump. Now you may be thinking, but don't they have to go in the holes? You're absolutely correct. That's going to take our 1.5, and we're just going to walk them around. now as we go around, they'll all just kind of drop into their homes. Notice we got 2 left over here, and there's 2 holes left over here. There we go. And wipe off your wrench. Now those are all in place. And then you're going to take this guy here, drop him down through the top. You have your 2mm wrench on the head of that thrust bolt. Get him in there. There we go. Then you're going to flip it over like so. And then drop your spring out in. And then drop your cap nut down in there. Let's see if this has an orientation to it. Looks like it's the same on both sides. There we go. Let's see if I got it. What I do here is I just hold that wrench down on there. My 1.5 is small enough it fits in there. And then I just turn the 2 until it starts grabbing. And then once you feel it grabbing, that's when you need to start being careful. So it's going to pull that down. You're going to use this just to help hold that side. And you'll see that nut down in there, how it's winged. You're going to watch that until it gets down. That's why I'm not looking at the camera right now. I've got it looking at me. And you're going to gently compress that spring, being very careful not to over tighten. Just 2 fingers until it stops, okay? Just 2 fingers. See that? 2 fingers. You do not want to snap that thrust bolt. Now your diff is all the way tight. Now some things will tell you, put it all the way tight, back it off a 1/4 turn or an 1/8 turn or something like that. This is how I do it. If you're running in mod buggy, not spec, now mind you, spec is going to take longer to do. If you're running, see they tell you to back it off 1/2 turn after it's all the way down. If you're running in mod buggy, tighten it all the way down, put it in the car, go run a battery pack through it, and then go back and tighten it all the way down, and then you back your 1/2 turn or out or your 1/8 turn out or whatever the case may be. See, they want you to put it in the car, hold it on a table, break the diff in, and then adjust it. Tighten it all the way down, and the 1/8 turn out. Tighten it all the way down at the beginning, run a full pack through it on the track, and it will do the same as a table break-in. And then you can just pop your wheel off, stick this in, tighten it down, back it off, and 1/8 turn, and you're perfect. Or if you're like me and you prefer it to be a really tight diff, I lock mine all the way down. I go break them in, I stick this in there, and I lock it down again. I like them all the way tight because I like my diff. See, it's still diffs. It's not like a gear diff where you can just lock it. Ball diffs will always diff even when they're all the way tight. So just remember that. It's just personal preference. I like the rear end to kind of stay a little more stable, and so I don't like it to be a really tight diff or loose diff. But our ball diff is set. I am guessing that they want you to, let's see if they say here. Okay, so in this vehicle, it's different than Associated, so that's good to know. They do mark it. On Associated, you want your screw to face the left wheel. On these, you want your screw to face the right wheel. So that's good to know. So we're going to need to make sure that we make our thrust bolt head face the right wheel, the right rear. Okay, so just remember that, because that's going to be very, very important. So now we're going to go ahead and get into bag 2. I'm going to go ahead and build this rear end here. All right, so now we got our bag 2 opened up. You can see we've got our diff housing here. Looks like there's only going to be a couple screws to remove the diff out of this one, so that's going to be cool to see. Got our idler gear, our spur. This is your main drive gear, so we're going to go ahead and bring this over as well. We have we got 2 screws that are here, 2 here, 3 here, 2 shorties, and then these 2 are kind of their own breed over here. So We'll find out what they are once we get there. I don't see, oh no, it does. Okay, it shows you the size here on the side of the page. So there's your actual sizings. This is aluminum, so that's nice. The motor bracket is black aluminum. We're using the 3 dot for the lowest setting. So if you look on the top here, there's 3 dots on the very top. If I can get the light to hit it right, there we go, 3 dots. You're going to use your 1 and 2s are going to go to side, and those are going to be for tuning options to raise and lower the diff height, which gives you more or less rear traction depending on what you're running on. I'm going to go ahead and, these are the only things on a string tree. They broke off pretty clean, so I'm just going to go ahead and just double over, check them, make sure there's no edges. You can do that with your X-Acto knife, just like I'm doing right here. Just lay that edge down there just ever so slightly, and if there's something to grab, it'll grab it and knock it off just like I did there. You can see the fine shavings. And if it doesn't, it'll just slide right over it. Nice thing about X-Acto is it's a very, very thin blade. So if there is something to catch, it'll catch it even if it's tiny. Check out these awesome slipper pads. These are actually rubberized. They're not felt like the associated ones. So those are awesome. I also just realized I missed something because we start back here. That's why I missed something. Okay. So we're starting back here. We need to get out one 6x12x4 bearing. Just one? Interesting. Okay. One 5x10x4 down here, and then two 3x8x4s up here. So we're going to go ahead and get those out first, and then we'll be right back. All right, so we've got our bearings here. I had to get into our smaller of the 2 bearing bags. The bag that says ball bearings with oil is where you're going to find your bearings for this. The 3x8x4s are going to be these guys here. They're the second smallest in the bag. And then your 5x10x4 and your 6x12x4 are going to be your 2 blue seals here, which it tells you blue rubber covers, blue rubber cover. So it's good to know on that. You've got your 2 sides here. You're going to start with the side with the big hole in it and the triad of screws here. That's the side you're going to be putting things into. So your 6x12x4 goes down in this hole here and drops down in. You can use your shaft to go ahead and put it all the way in because that's where it's going to go. This is your top shaft. Okay. And then these guys here go into the idler gear. And if you want to replace the steel roll pin with titanium, you can. There's a part number there for it. Seems excessive, but you know, to each their own. And then you grab your steel roll pin and put it through. It's interesting to see how small this roll pin is compared to the ones that are in an associated. But this idler gear is huge compared to the one in associated, so that's really interesting. I'm really curious how this car is going to drive. I've heard they drive great, so it's going to be fun to see. All right, and then our 5x10x4 goes on like so. That's it? Wow, I haven't built a 3 gear in so long that just felt weird. And that went together super clean, really clean. They just snapped right together and done. All right, so then we need our 1 3x12, 2 3x14s, and 1 3x16. So that's going to be all of our longer guys here. And they're all button heads, right? Because that's 3x12. Yes, that's our 12. Cool. Proper gear mesh will be achieved after final assembly on the chassis. Well, that's cool to know. All right, let me get my screw gun so we can do this the quick and easy way. All right, so we got our screw gun going. The bottom front one's going to be a 3x14. Both the bottom ones are 3x14. So let's do those first because those are the 2 that are the same. It's these 2 guys. Perfect. And 3x12 is going to go in this hole here. It's also magnetic, so it's trying to... Cool. Oh, guess we can't say it's fully luxury. We got a burr. Wish I would have known that before I put this together. I gotta be careful not to get that burr down inside the transmission. There we go. Peachy. There's a burr here too. I doubt that one's gonna do anything, but we'll nick it off there anyway. All right, and then the long guy is gonna go up here. Not sure if there's a waterfall brace that's gonna go on here at some point, but this is where it goes. So for now, it sits there. All right, then we're on to the next page. Go ahead and put our trusty X-Acto up. And like I said, we're gonna use our 3 dots. And they want to set like this. All right, so this is going to be your right rear. This is your left rear. So remember what they said. Make sure that your thrust bolt faces the right rear, so the side where the slipper, the top shaft sticks out. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, then we need our bearings, which it told us to do on the last page, and I totally forgot to do that. Sorry, that was on step 1. That was my fault. I did not say to do that on, so yeah, 10 by 15 by 4. So that's 2 of our big guys here. I apologize. That was my own error. 10 by 15 by 4, yeah. Why is that one not wanting to go on? Oh, there it goes. Precision. And these just slide right over like so. And make sure you're not putting it in like that. Make sure they're like this with the 3 dots facing up. It's going to put it in its lowest setting. And make sure that your thrust bolt again is on the right side. And then it'll drop in just like so. And then you can see your transmission movement like that. The 2 3x10s are what you're going to need next. They're going to be what goes in right here and here. I'm just going to get those in there. Give them a little zig. All right, then make sure that it's all free spinning. It is. I'm going to pull these back out. The reason I only put them in like that is I just want to make sure that everything was free spinning first before I got grease on anything, because then you don't have to worry about fighting grease off your fingers. So there's that back off. Now we're going to put our grease in here. You're just going to give it some good rotation. Black is graphite grease, so if you're wondering what it says here, graphite grease, that's what it means. Give it a little bit more. It's pretty good. I just want to make sure that it's really good, because it's greasing the top shaft, that idler gear, and the drive gear. So you want to make sure it's fully spread across all of them. There we go. Perfect. Now we can put this back on, and now we know everything is going to be good, and we know that we're all greased up too. There we go. All right, so now we're on to our motor plate. So we can set that aside for just a moment. We'll get our motor plate going with these 2 tiny button heads here. You're going to go ahead and, looks like orientation of the back side, and these go right there. These I am not going to use the driver on because 1, this is going into aluminum and I don't want to cross thread it, and 2, I just don't want to break these tiny screws because they're very short and I want to break them in aluminum. If you're also wondering why I didn't put thread lock on here, this is a non-essential part, so I don't really care if there's thread lock on this one or not. On parts where you are going into aluminum and it's something that can back out and cause major issues, you do want to use thread lock. All right, so then we're going to get this guy back over here, and just like so. This is where your countersunks are going to come in at. So all 3 of these countersunk dudes go in here. Just get a couple of them started. Nice. There we go. And now that is all complete right there for that step. So now we're going to move on to the next step, which is our slipper assembly. So the option, you can do a slipper eliminator if you're using this as some sort of oval chassis base thing like a street stock. You can eliminate that slipper, or if you're running on carpet track, which a lot of times you'll eliminate the slipper on a carpet track. This is going to go on first, just like that. Make sure that you have the conical end down first. And then these are going to set in here. Do these snap in? They do not. So these just kind of set on here. Note the orientation. The side with the stick out lines goes to the inside. Okay. And then drop this guy down on top. These are keyed, so you'll have to rotate it a little bit until it drops down on that post. And then just check and make sure that your slipper pads didn't move at all. All right, so there's that part. Then we're going to drop our spring down on, like so. Yeah. And then this one here, make sure that the coincide is down and the nut side is out. Because you don't want your coincide out, because then you can't tighten it. Try to get started with your fingers first, which is probably going to fight you a little bit, to be honest. Because they usually do. Don't know why, but they do. Such a precise fit with that spring. The spring's wanting to wobble around and push it. So we're going to grab our 5.5 and see if we can do some persuasion here without cross-threading. Nice. Just took a little bit of pressure persuasion. Initial setting is flush with end of shaft. Okay. So they want you like that. I usually take that and then I go 1 full half turn in, like so. I like to be just a little bit in from there as a good starting point for my personal take, because I know I'm putting a 6 turn on here for 1. And so I know that likes a little bit. It can spin the slipper pretty easy. All right, and looks like that's the end of bag 2. So our transmission is done, and so next up is bag 3. But I hear the kids awake, so I'm gonna have to stop this week's video and go get them lunch. And that's gonna be it for today. We've got our transmission assembly complete with slipper and ball diff, and that's ready to be dropped into the car once the car is done. So that's awesome to see. As you can tell, we're still missing 2 screws back here, but that's okay. The cool thing is we can get this in and out with just 2 screws. Hopefully it doesn't require taking a bunch of other stuff off like the Associated can tend to sometimes do. Of course, that's also because I have a short course truck and I gotta take the bumper off. Anyway, I digress. We're here, and next time we will get going on the rear suspension, which will be getting a shock tower mounted to this, as well as getting the arms, C and D blocks on, wing mount, and getting everything mounted onto the chassis with our nice aluminum rear bulkhead there. So that's it for today's video. As always, keep the rubber side down, the shiny side up, and remember to stay in the groove.